In this video, I'm going to show you how we can convert a quadratic function in the standard form to the vertex form. When the equation of a quadratic function is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, we say that the quadratic function is in the standard form. And if we can write it in the form of a times x minus h squared plus k, we say that the quadratic function is in the vertex form. And here in this video, we want to learn how we can convert the standard form to the vertex form. I will show you the process of converting the standard form to the vertex form by doing 3 examples at the same time. Our first example is y equals x squared minus 6x plus 10. Our second example is 3x squared minus 6x plus 5. And our third example is negative 2x squared plus 8x plus 1. So we want to convert these quadratic functions from a standard form to the vertex form. The first step for converting the standard form to the vertex form is to factor the coefficient of x squared from the first 2 terms, from x squared and x. So here, in each of these quadratic functions, we have to factor the coefficient of x squared from only the first 2 terms, from only x squared and x, not from all of the equation. In our first example, the coefficient of x squared is 1. Here, coefficient of x squared is 1. So we don't need to factor anything in this example. So we skip the first step for our first example. But in our second example, the coefficient of x squared here is 3. So we have to factor a 3 only from these 2 terms. If we factor 3 here, we have 3 bracket x squared minus 2x. Note that negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. And we leave the number 5, the constant 5, outside of the bracket. In our third example, if we factor negative 2, we have x squared. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4x plus 1. To make our first example similar to these 2 other equations, I prefer to put a bracket around x squared minus 6. I write this here, but I just put a bracket here to make it similar to our other equations that here we have. The next step, after we factor the coefficient of x squared, is to add a number to these brackets to make them a complete square. But how we have to find that number that we have to add to these brackets? The number that we have to add to these brackets is half of these numbers squared, half of the coefficient of x squared, half of negative 6 divided by 2 squared is 9. Negative 6 divided by 2 is 3 squared is 9. So in this example, we have to add a 9 to the bracket. In our second example, we have to add a negative 2 over 2 squared to the bracket. Negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. So we have to add 1 to the bracket. And here negative 4 over 2 squared is 4, because negative 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 squared is 4. So here in our first example, we have to add a to our bracket to make it a complete square, and that number is 9. But we know that we cannot add a number to an equation. If we add a number to one side of the equation, we have to add the same number to the other side of the equation. But because we don't want to change the left side of this equation, to cancel the effect of adding this number here, we subtract the same number from the equation. We write 10 here and we subtract 9. So again, why we subtract 9 here? Because we added a 9 here. So we subtract the same number to cancel its effect. So whenever you put a number, you add a number to your equation, you have to subtract the same number. Or if you subtract a number, you have to add the same number to cancel its effect. In our second example, we have to add a 1 to our bracket. So here in our second example, we have 3 bracket x squared minus 2x plus 1. And we have to write 5 here. But don't forget, you have to subtract 1. But note that here 1 is in the bracket. And if we multiply this 3 in the bracket, actually we added not 1 to the equation, we added a 3 to the equation. Again, note that if we multiply this 3 in the bracket, we have 3x squared minus 6x plus 3. So because we added a 3 to the equation, we have to subtract a 3 from the equation. The difference between this example and this example is that here the coefficient outside of the bracket is 1. So we simply subtract 9. But here it seems that we have to subtract 1. But because of this 3, it is actually 3 times 1, which is 3. So we subtracted 3. What about our third example? In our third example, we have to add a 4 to the bracket. If we add 4 to our bracket, we have x squared minus 4x plus 4. And don't forget to put this 1 here. Maybe you think, okay, we have to subtract 4. No. Attention again. This negative 2 multiplies by this 4. And negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. To cancel the effect of that negative 8, what we have to do? We have to put positive 8 here, not negative 8. Again, negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. The opposite of that is positive 8. After this step, let me simplify these numbers. So I am writing the same expression, x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus 1. 3 bracket x squared minus 2x plus 1. 5 minus 3 is 2. And in our third example, negative 2 x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus 9. 8 plus 1 is 9. Now we are ready to convert these brackets to this form. So we want to write each of these brackets in the form of something squared. 3 brackets something squared. Negative 2 bracket squared plus 9. First, we put x in each bracket. How we have to find h? The number that we put here is half of this number. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And now, if you pay attention, we converted the standard forms to the vertex forms. Before I finish this video, let me show you one more example of how we can convert a standard form to the vertex form. The equation is negative 7x squared plus 6x minus 13. The first step in conversion a standard form to the vertex form is to factor coefficient of x squared from x squared and x. If we factor negative 7, we have x squared plus, because 6 is not divisible by negative 7, we put 6 over negative 7 as coefficient of x. Because we factored negative 7, the coefficient of x is 6 divided by negative 7, which is 6 over negative 7. And we put the constant outside of the bracket. The next step after we factored coefficient of x squared is to add a number to the bracket to make the bracket a complete square. But how we have to find that number? We have to divide this number by 2 and square it. 6 over negative 7 divided by 2 is actually 6 over negative 7 times by reciprocal of 2, which is 1 over 2. 6 times 1 is 6 over negative 40. Before you square these numbers, note that you can cancel 6 with 14. It is actually 3 over negative 7. Or you can cancel it here also. 3 remains in top, 1 in the bottom. Anyway, 3 over negative 7 squared is 9, because 3 squared is 9, and negative 7 squared is 49. So this is the number that we have to add to the bracket. 9 over 49. But we know that when we add a number to an equation, to keep the equation, we have to subtract the same number. But note that this number here is in the bracket, and this number is multiplied by negative 7. So actually we have to subtract not 9 over 49. We have to subtract 9 over 49 times by negative 7. So there is a negative 7 here also. So this is the number that we have to subtract. So if we simplify this, we can write it as x squared plus 6 over negative 7x plus 9 over 49. We want to simplify this. First of all, note that negative here and negative here multiply by each other and it becomes positive. So we have negative 13 plus 7 times 9 over 49. Note that a 7 from the top cancels with 1 7 from the bottom. So we have negative 13 plus 9 over 7. If we do a common denominator here, if we put in denominator 1 for 13, we have 7 plus 7, 9. 7 times 13 is negative 91. Negative 91 plus 9 is negative 82 over 7. So this is equal to negative 82 over 7. Now we get to the last step. we have to write this as a complete square. Negative 7 bracket something squared minus 82 over 7. We put x here. The number that we have to put here is half of this number. And half of 6 over negative 7, 6 over negative 7 divided by 2, it equals to 3 over negative 7. So here we put 3 over negative 7. And this is the vertex form of this quadratic function. If you like, you can write this as negative 7 x plus 3 over negative 7 is actually negative 3 over 7 squared minus 82 over 7. This is the vertex form of this equation. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel.